Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Graham, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Welcome to Popternative.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
You know, it's funny because, it is a challenge for an interviewer because, and this is a credit to your amazing work and the amazing job you've done in the work, there's so much to talk about. You've been in so many amazing projects.
Oh, bless your heart. Yes,
you know
I try and keep busy.
But you know what? No, absolutely. But you know what? My first question, I feel like, ties in many different projects of yours, so I feel like it's very interesting because you look at a good amount of your body of work has to do with you as a storyteller and actor going back in time. It's kind of all these different kind of time zones and different eras and anything. Is there a mindset specifically to kind of go back in time as an actor, or is it just kind of like, even if it's present time, it's just all storytelling? I'm curious about that.
Well, actually, that's a very good point. I think all stories have a great deal in common in that, really what you're trying to discover through them is some kind of a truth, and you try and tell it in an entertaining way. But for me, the whole going back in time thing, I think possibly there's a sort of law of attraction going on somewhere there, because it is odd how many times I have ended up either wearing a cloak, carrying a sword, riding on a horse, lighting a candle,
It's your thing.
Not so
it's
much
the Grand McTavish way.
Yeah, not so much, sort of ringing on a cell phone or climbing into the back of a car. No, it's strange. I mean, I actually enjoy, as a fan, I enjoy those worlds. So I enjoy reading about them. I enjoy history. I enjoy fantasy, because I think fantasy allows you such enormous latitude in storytelling. I am attracted to it for sure.
100%. And right around the corner, we're getting new episodes of The Witcher, season 3. It's going to be dropping in 2 kind of volumes, and we're getting more. That show kind of dropped, and I feel like everyone was just kind of like, even season 1, everyone was just like, I'm in. Like, online Popternative, we kind of look at everything, and people are ready to watch it. It's crazy. It's already been 3 seasons.
I know. Weirdly enough, like a few things that I've done in my career, strangely, I started out as a fan of the show. So, I was a fan of the books of Preacher. I was a fan of Lord of the Rings. I ended up doing The Hobbit, et cetera, et cetera. Fan of 24. I ended up being in it. And it's the same with The Witcher. And so I agree. As soon as I watched the first season, I couldn't wait for more. And it just was rather fortuitous that they asked me to join them. And so I got to don the enormously heavy gold collar and walk around castle corridors, which is one of my great strengths, of course.
What is your relationship with, because I find it interesting what you just said about all those, like all the past source material. Do you have a strong relationship with the source material before kind of going and working on the TV show, or does it depend on the project?
Right. When you say the source material, you mean the books and the game?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
In all honesty, no.
Okay.
No. And I would say that was the case for Outlander as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't familiar with the books before I did Outlander. Obviously, I'd read The Hobbit, but I wasn't motivated by a connection to the source material. It was really motivated by the show.
Yeah.
And that's what I became a fan of, all the movies. That's what I became a fan of. And I very much try and separate the two.
Yes.
So that I have a huge respect for the source material of all of these things, but I think it's important, if you're telling a story in a different medium, that you honor that medium and work on the character and the story through it, rather than trying to sort of cobble on something from a different medium.
I do feel like the comparison always drives me crazy sometimes, Graham, because it's not the books, it's the live action Netflix series. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be differences regardless. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's interesting too, because you mentioned Outlander, The Witcher, House of Dragon. The thing that I find interesting with these shows is the fan bases have 2 kind of very powerful kind of elements to them. One, they are global fan bases. There are fans of these shows all around the world, and it is a
Absolutely.
amazing thing to see. It's incredible. Like I love it. And then two, they're quick. They are quick, if you know what I mean by that. They have all the news. They watch the episodes right away. They are quick. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh yeah. No, I do. And you have to, I mean, I take that quite seriously, really. I mean, you can't do the show or create a character simply to appease fans of existing source material, but you do have to respect it, and you also have to accept the responsibility that you have when you're doing these kind of shows. You know, and as long as you don't let that rule you, so that you have some creative latitude when you're actually working on these things, so that you accept it. You go, okay, there are millions of people who love this source material. We have to try and honor it, but we have to honor it through our own interpretation.
Yeah,
and that might not be to everyone's taste. Might not be to everyone's taste, but one of the things that Peter Jackson told me when we were doing The Hobbit, and he applied this to everything that he ever did. He said he makes films that he wants to see. He makes them for himself. And if other people like them, great. But it's important that you come to those sort of projects with an integrity and an honesty, rather than simply trying to please somebody else.
100%. And I did want to ask a Men in Kilts question, because, you know, you work on that with Sam from Outlander as well. What's that? What's it like kind of working on a show like that? Because I have really enjoyed that show.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, terrifying really is the word. I mean, season 2 hasn't come out yet, but if you thought he'd scared me in season 1, you wait. Good grief. I mean, it's frankly a miracle that I'm talking to you. I did at one point think, why is he doing this to me? And I mean, I think he likes me. I think he does. But there were moments where I looked in his eyes and I just saw the eyes of a madman. And
like, what is going on? Like,
and he was driving the camper van, so there was nothing I could do. He was just taking me from one nightmarish encounter to another.
Banter, though, and like you're like into it at times, like you're not into it. That's what I really enjoy.
Oh, I know. No, we I mean, really, I mean, in all honesty, the show is a sort of extension of the relationship and life that Sam and I established when we were making Outlander.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, that's what we're like. That's what we're like. That's what we're like if we meet up for dinner. That's what we like if we go to the pub. It's the same. No. And we've just brought along a film crew to record it now in sort of really interesting places, doing some pretty wacky things, and hopefully finding something interesting out in the process.
100%. And yeah, no, I look forward to season 2. And you know, before we wrap up too, I mean, you know, I've never seen like House of the Dragon, Graham, is this show that will just never leaves. It's always on my timeline. It's always on my feed. It will never leave. You know what I mean? And I'm wondering if you kind of felt that a little bit when episodes of season 1 were kind of rolling out.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it was quick.
No, it was. I mean, the irony, of course, is that when you're making these things, I mean, it took us nearly a year to make that show, that season. And that you live in a strange kind of bubble when you're making these. It was the same with Outlander when we did the first season of that. Same with The Witcher. Same with all of these things. You sort of get isolated in a strange sort of way from the world. That you know what's going on. You know, there you are. You're making it, and blah blah blah, and everything's happening, and you read the scripts, and you know what happens to so and so and when, and all the rest of it. And at the same time, you know that everyone else won't find this out for months and months and months and months. And you have to keep quiet and all the rest of it. But you're also not privy to how it all stitches together, which is very, very crucial. So you're aware of part of the story in a weird sort of a way. And so that when it is completed, you're able to actually enjoy it as much as anybody else when you watch it. So you sort of, you put aside that history that you have with the show and actually enjoy it fresh.
And when those episodes roll out, like on a Sunday night, they're like an event for everyone at
Oh,
home.
yeah.
Like, it's like the best feeling about it. And I know there's like, everyone's talking online about your character. Maybe we'll see him again and everything. And I'm sure you're kind of just used to it now. But like, it's
Yeah. No, I know. No. Yeah, people get very. I mean, I get excited. I get excited about it. People ask me all the time about the show, and people remember the character, etc., etc., etc. And yeah, it was a great experience. It really was.
No,
Especially that I'd worked with Ryan before on a couple of other shows together, so we had a history.
Season 3, Volume 1 of The Witcher is dropping worldwide on Netflix June 29th, so that's kind of around the corner. Graham, again, honor and privilege speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking some time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.